Senator Kaine.
Mr. Sonderling, congratulations on your
Senator.
nomination and welcome to your family. You are a senior advisor to the acting secretary. How many Department of Labor employees have lost their jobs since the beginning of the Trump administration?
I am a senior advisor right now at the U.S. Department of Labor. I don't have the authority over hiring and firing decisions.
Do you not know the answer?
I do not know the answer.
Who would know the answer to the question?
The acting secretary works with the career staff, both in the solicitor's office.
Do you think
and
the acting secretary would know?
And the assistant secretary of management, the professionals in the HR team at the U.S. Department of Labor.
Is the answer to my question one that you're interested in or disinterested in?
If confirmed as Deputy Secretary of Labor, Senator, that is going to be.
Oh, you work there now. You're there right now.
I am a senior advisor. I don't have the authority over HR,
Okay,
but I will eventually.
And in your testimony, you say, my interest in protecting all Americans' rights in the workplace. You're including federal employees, including the employees of your own agency. Is that correct?
I'm including every worker in
Good.
the United States.
Good. I guess I know the answer to this next question, which is, do you know how many veterans have been fired at the Department of Labor since you began working there on Inauguration Day?
I do not.
Are you interested in that question or disinterested in that question?
Of course, I'm interested in all the employees.
And you're aware, because you've worked with the federal government before, that a pretty high percentage of the federal workforce is veterans. About 30% of the civilian workforce is veterans.
And it's a tremendous honor for the federal government.
Yep. Highly disproportionate number of disabled veterans. Probationary employees have been laid off in the Department of Labor as well as other agencies, correct?
That's pursuant to OPM guidance and executive orders.
Just correct or incorrect?
That's what I read that as well.
Yeah. Probationary employees, just so folks know, they're not on probation because they did something wrong. What that means is they're new employees. And they tend to either be young employees or career switchers, like veterans. Veterans serve in the military I have a veteran who served for 25 years in the Marine Corps, lives in Dumfries, Virginia. Mr. Musial is his name, service-disabled vet, 5 years deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan multiple times. He left the military as a colonel in 2019 and got a job with a federal agency for 4 years. And then he got recruited to join another federal agency in March of last year. And he served, and now he's 30 years of service to the country, but he's a probationary employee, and he just got fired. The numbers are coming in. People like you generally can't answer questions like this in hearings, but the numbers are coming in, suggest that Donald Trump has fired more veterans than any president in the history of the United States. In 6 weeks! Is that a good thing or a bad thing, or are you indifferent to it?
If confirmed, I can promise you that I will follow all applicable law, or make sure the HR department follows all applicable laws.
The if confirmed line works for somebody who isn't in the building. People have been using that line. If they're not in the building, I can't expect them to have answers to questions. You are a special advisor to the acting Secretary of Labor, and I've asked you a question. Is mass firing of veterans who are federal employees a good thing, a bad thing, or are you indifferent to it?
First of all, I truly respect all veterans in the service of their country. I've hired veterans. Veterans have worked for me. I understand the sacrifice they've made personally.
Do you dispute what I am saying, that veterans are disproportionately suffering by the Trump layoff policies?
Senator, I haven't done the workforce analysis.
So you can't dispute it, but you recognize what I've said, that 30% of the workforce is veterans, and veterans are disproportionately in probationary status because they've come from one federal agency to become a civilian with the federal government.
I can assure you that the professional career staff at HR, the Department of Labor, and the Solicitor's Office, who are complying with all executive orders and OPM directives, are absolute professionals and will follow law and have a duty to make sure that nobody is discriminated against on protected characteristics.
When you are aware that the workplace is disproportionately veteran, and you engage in mass layoffs, you're disproportionately affecting veterans. The civilian workforce is less than 5% veteran. The federal workforce is 30% veteran. You have said that you have an interest in protecting all Americans' rights in the workplace, but you can't even answer a question that I'm asking you about your own workforce. Now, I know you've only been there for 6 weeks, but you are in a highly elevated position. You can't tell me how many folks have been fired. You can't tell me how many are veterans. You're not exactly sure who could give you the answer. You haven't apparently been interested enough to get the information to be able to answer my questions. I just want to hold you to your standard. If you want to protect all Americans' rights in the workplace, that better include